Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video this morning I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news, keeping you up to date of what players are linked with Manchester United. Solsjkaer came out after the game yesterday and he says, Man United may be forced to delve into the transfer market for short-term deals, reflecting on the injury to Marcus Rashford. So, just want to give you some news regarding Marcus Rashford. He has sustained a double structure in his back, a double structure in his back, and could be out for up to 6 weeks with this. And this is very, very bad news because, like I said, Rashford has been one of our best players this season. He's been in scintillating form. He scored 19 goals for the football club in all competitions so far this season as Marcus Rashford. And since Rashford broke into the senior squad back in 2016, he has scored 63 senior goals for the football club. But yeah, Rashford is going to be a big miss, and he is going to miss imperative games. But I did say, didn't I, prior to the game against Liverpool, I was hopeful that his injury wasn't too severe. I think Rashford was injured earlier on this season. He was also injured towards the back end of last season, but he is going to be a big miss. And now, as players have been coming back from injury, more injuries now are starting to come on the horizon. So that's really infuriating me. But I think a lot of aspects of Rashford's game have improved. He's got that finishing asset. He's getting more of them runs in behind. People will say if we'd have had Rashford for the game against Liverpool, yes, they may have got something. I don't think that's excusable, because even if Rashford had been on the pitch, I was still very convinced we was going to lose the game anywhere. But, up until this point, Rashford so far has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. But I definitely believe is a long-term solution for the club. Martial, I thought he was a bit quiet in the game yesterday against Liverpool, to be fair. Didn't really get that service. Had a big chance in the game, did Anthony Martial. I think he's totally comparison to Rashford. I don't think he's as good as Rashford. I think in a lot of games this season he's played quite well as Martial, and he does suit that number 9 role because he's more effective in that central position. But you can say he's also had some bad games for the club. Daniel James, I don't think he's been to his best in the last month or so. Again, was very quiet yesterday, but I still think for the vast majority of this season he's done really, really well, and he has been a revelation for us. But I just think now, reflect on the injury to Rashford especially, we need to, get one striker into the football club, and we need to add more inspiration in that attacking third of the pitch. So we'll get on now with the transfer news. So I'm going to talk about Raul Jimenez. I'm going to give you more of an update on Bruno Fernandes, and I'm going to give you an update on Jude Bellingham. So we'll start with Raul Jimenez. So Man United are considering making a move for Raul Jimenez from Wolves. I think he will cost us a substantial amount. Probably we'll have to pay around maybe 60 or 65 million pounds to get Raul Jimenez in. He's proven him in the Premier League, and I think he's actually a very, very good player. Raul Jimenez scored twice for Wolves in their 3-2 win against Southampton at the weekend. Obviously, I think for Wolves in the Premier League, he's made around 61 appearances and scored around, 23 goals, and made around 72 appearances in all competitions, since he arrived at Wolves. He's 28 years of age, so he's highly experienced. He said not too long ago that if Wolves were determined to sell him, they wanted around £100 million for him. And Nuno Santo did say not too long ago, he admitted that, he could be sold in this January transfer window. But even if Raul Jimenez doesn't leave in this January transfer window, I think I'm very sceptical that from now he will spend the entirety of his career with Wolves. Obviously, at some point, he'll want to rejuvenate his career. Wolves did pay around 35 million for him. Well, or was it 30 million, something like that? Because he was initially on loan with Wolves, but reflect on his good performances, Wolves got him on a permanent transfer. Before he was at Wolves, he was at Benfica. Before he was at Benfica, he was at Atletico Madrid. And before he was at Atletico Madrid, he was in America's youth system where he began his career. But yeah, very, very good player. And I think he would be the right calibre player for Manchester United. Probably wouldn't be able to get Raul Jimenez on a short-term deal. Probably would have to get him on a permanent transfer. But, we're considering now making loan moves. So let's see what happens with the speculation regarding Raul Jimenez. I want to give you the news regarding Bruno Fernandes. Now, I am still pretty convinced that Manchester United will sign Bruno Fernandes. I'm still convinced it will happen. Obviously, the Sporting Lisbon boss has recently, come out and said that Bruno Fernandes is going to be included in the squad for their game against Braga tomorrow. So more than likely, Bruno Fernandes is going to be playing. I know recently I've said to you guys that is the game he played in against Benfica should have been his farewell appearance for Sporting Lisbon. But, we've been in negotiations with Sporting Lisbon for quite a bit now, and I did say, negotiations were at an advanced stage. I know I did update you over the weekend. It was coming from the BBC, which is a very reliable source, and they said Man United's attempt to sign Bruno Fernandes, has stalled. The main explanation for that is that it says Sporting Lisbon want around 80 million euros, which equates to around 68 million in pounds sterling. But obviously, Man United are not determined to meet Sporting Lisbon's valuation. Reportedly, we're only willing to pay around 40 or 45 million pounds up front. This is what it said, and it did say there would be series of add-ons included, and some or most of these add-ons would only be activated if, like, we won the Premier League, the Champions League, or Bruno Fernandes won the Ballon d'Or. That is the only way. But that's very unlikely to happen. So, from a Sporting Lisbon perspective, they're, not happy with the structure of the offer. But Bruno Fernandes definitely wants to leave Sporting Lisbon because he's notified Sporting Lisbon about this, and his preference is a move to Old Trafford. And the Sporting Lisbon boss recently come out and he said, that Bruno Fernandes deserves to play in the Premier League, reflecting on his good run of performances in Portugal for Sporting Lisbon. So this is what I had currently said. But, I think now reports are saying that we could put a new bid in for Bruno Fernandes. Maybe we could maybe offer 50 odd million pounds up front, and there could be 8 or 9 million pounds in add-ons. So then that could convince Sporting Lisbon to offload the player. I know reports were coming out last week. This was prior to Sporting Lisbon's game against Benfica, and it said Man United wanted to sign Bruno Fernandes before Sporting Lisbon played Benfica. So basically, we didn't want him to play in the game against Benfica and that. But he actually, ended up playing against Benfica. Obviously, the fee has been the stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes coming to Man United. That's been the stumbling block basically, because Man United and Sporting Lisbon are struggling to come to an agreement on the fee. It does say, well, a lot of reports in the Portuguese press last week said that Man United have agreed personal terms with Bruno Fernandes, and he's set to earn around £120,000 a week with the club. But, no fee as yet, come to an agreement. So if we can come to an agreement on a fee, I do believe Man United are going to get him. Obviously, I think it's going to be a straight cash deal, by the way. I don't think any of our players are going to be included in the deal. He did say Sporting Lisbon wanted Marcus Rojo as part of the deal. It also said, there were talks that Andres Pereira, could be as part of the deal and he could go out on loan. This is what it had said, basically. And, so George Mendes has also been working on getting Bruno Fernandes' transfer to Man United completed. He's also been working on it because George Mendes was in the director's box spectating our game against Wolves last Wednesday in the Cup. I think he was also in London last Tuesday. So, yeah, he's been definitely working on this. But I still think, we can get a deal over the line for him. Maybe we could officially sign him within the next 48 hours or so. So I'm still convinced that this will happen. I think whatever Sporting Lisbon want, Man United should just be determined to pay it anywhere, because I think he's worth it. We're known for overpaying for players anywhere. Prime example, we paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. We paid £50 million for Fred. We paid £40 million for Matic. We paid £89 million for Paul Pogba. So we might as well just pay what Sporting Lisbon are demanding for the player. I know I've got an element of concern. He's obviously never played in the Premier League, so he's not Premier League proven. But I think reflecting on what Bruno Fernandes has done in his couple of years in Portugal, I think he can come and replicate this in the Premier League without a shadow of a doubt. I think he can do it. Obviously, he spent the entirety of his career in Italy when he was younger, did Bruno Fernandes. Don't forget, Bruno Fernandes got his contract extended until 2023 last November. I do presume that's reflecting on his good run of performances that he did put out. He's 25 years of age, is Bruno Fernandes. He's predominantly an attacking midfielder, so the club are basically, seeing him as an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. But I think it would be fantastic for us in that midfield. He's a player that can create chances, he can provide assists, he can score goals from that midfield. So Man United do need to get him in. But from a Sporting Lisbon perspective, if this deal does happen, they're going to make a huge profit on the player anyway, because they got him from next to note from Sampdoria. I think they only paid around £7 million for him from Sampdoria. So, yeah, I still think he's going to be our first signing in this January transfer window, definitely. But that midfield definitely is one of the priority areas where Man United need to strengthen up. We need an attacking midfielder, we need a holding midfielder, because we look very exposed in that midfield, due to the injuries of Paul Pogba and McTominay, where I think they're out until late this month or until earlier February. And don't forget, Ander Herrera left last summer. And, you could arguably say he was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. So, yeah, that's the latest news on Fernandes. So I think we're now considering putting a new offer in for him. Sky Sports said last Friday that we was actually close to signing Bruno Fernandes. It said we'd pay around 43 million up front with 17 million in add-ons. But yeah, I still think negotiations are going on, because last week our representatives were in Portugal to try and get a deal finalised. Going to give you some news regarding Jude Bellingham from Birmingham. I have been updating you about him on a regular basis now. Now, reportedly, Man United, well, in some media outlets, it says Man United have put around the £16 million bid in for Jude Bellingham, or is it a £15 million bid? And some reports are saying we've put around the £25 million bid in for him. Jude Bellingham has been a revelation this season in the Championship for Birmingham. This is his first season in their senior squad, because don't forget, Jude Bellingham made his debut at just the age of 16 years and 38 days. So he made his senior debut in August 2019 last year. And I think he's played around 24 games this season as Jude Bellingham, but I think he started around 18 of them. So he started the vast majority of the games, and he's not 17 until the summer. Birmingham have given their overarching view on it, and Birmingham are hopeful that he can sign a professional contract in the summer. He did actually win the EFL Young Player of the Month award back in November. I do presume that's reflecting on his good run performances. So yeah, Man United are in for Jude Bellingham. Like I said, I know he's in the Championship at the moment. Some people may believe that at the moment he doesn't have the minerals, to come and succeed in the Premier League at this moment in time, but perhaps in the future. But we said the same thing regarding Daniel James, because, he came from the Championship to the Premier League, and look what he's done. I know he hasn't been so good in the last month or so, but analysing him for the vast majority of this season, he has been a revelation. So some players that come from the Championship, can, become successful in the Premier League, and I'd take Jude Bellingham all day long. I've watched some of his performances for Birmingham, and he's actually now a pretty decent player, and he can also score goals, can't Jude Bellingham. So yeah, so he's another player on our agenda, and there's quite a few players as well that Man United could go in for in the summer, because we have got some summer transfer targets, but we've got to make signings in this January transfer window. I think Solsjkaer's orchestrating on making at least 2 signings in this January transfer window. But this year, we've got to address the deficiencies in the squad. We've got to recruit the right calibre players in that can, get us back to being a competitive club, elite level football club, and get us back up there challenging for major honours and that. And, we've got to get the right players in. And I also believe that, we need to get rid of players as well. Obviously, our first player has left of 2020. Ashley Young, of course, joined Inter Milan for 1.5 million. But definitely, more players need to leave the football club this year. And I don't think, we'll be determined to let more players go this year, unless, we can guarantee signings at Manchester United. But I've said to you guys, I think the players that need to go, I think Phil Jones needs to go. Too inconsistent, doesn't even get in the team now, and he's been a long-serving player. Rojo needs to go. He's currently injured at the moment. I think Matic needs to go. Don't think he was too bad against Liverpool yesterday, but I've got element of concerns about Nemanja Matic. Like I said, he's too slow. I think we need to get rid of Jesse Lingard because he's one of the problematic players, and I think, Solsjkaer and Mike Phelan have become infuriated with him. And I did say Lingard would start getting dropped because his performances have been so bad, and reflects on the number of years and, reflects on his status at the club. He should be putting much more better performances out. We need to get rid of Jesse Lingard, definitely. Chon needs to go because I don't think he's at that level as yet. You're getting some Man United fans saying that, Luke Shaw needs to be moved on. Luke Shaw just come back from a hamstring injury. I think he also had illness. He was out with injury earlier on in the season, but obviously now our preference is Brandon Williams because Solskjaer views him as his first choice left back. But he still praised Luke Shaw, and he said, Luke Shaw is still regarded as one of the best left backs in England. Obviously yesterday Brandon Williams and Shaw played because Shaw was at left back, Brandon Williams was at left wing. I think Shaw should have been dropped, and I think Williams should have been playing at left back. So, like I said, some of Solskjaer's team selections are definitely, questionable without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, there's definitely, more players that do need to leave the football club. I'm very convinced that Paul Pogba's going to be definitely leaving without a shadow of a doubt. Probably in the summer, not in this January transfer window. Transfer window, but I think we need to see a variety of changes at the football club. I think we need a change of management. I think we need to get rid of our board because our board have been a liability for several years. I think we also need to get rid of Ed Woodward. We also need to get rid of the Glazers. A lot of United fans have been protesting Ed Woodward and the Glazers. We need to get rid of our coaching staff. So we need to see a variety of changes at the football club because overall, anyway, I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years. I've got to be honest with you. And, I think, the couple of explanations why we've been a toxic club for the last 6 or 7 years, I think because we've made a lot of mistakes in the last 6 or 7 years. A prime example, I think we've got rid of players, some players that we shouldn't have got rid of. I think, the vast majority of the players that we've recruited in, haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. Obviously, we've recommended the wrong managers in at the wrong times. Obviously, that's another mistake Man United make. So these are the main explanations. And I think another mistake Man United made was giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis. I think the club, shouldn't have given it on a permanent basis. I don't think we should have even recommended Solskjaer in at all. Because I think after the sacking of Jose Mourinho in December 2018, we should have then recommended Mauricio Pochettino in. But I've said to you, haven't I? I said, the couple of main explanations why our preference was Solskjaer over Pochettino is because Solskjaer was a cheaper solution. Solskjaer knows the club well. In that aspect, comparison to Pochettino, because Pochettino doesn't know the club as well as Solskjaer. And plus, Solskjaer did really, really well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. So this is the main reason why we went with Solskjaer over Pochettino. But now I think the club have got to consider recommending Mauricio Pochettino in. And I think if Pochettino is to come in, it's likely he'll come in at the end of the season. He won't come in at this present time. Because like I've said, our board won't sack Solskjaer at the moment. Because I think, with Solskjaer being a club legend, I think in that aspect the board are soft in their stance. Because, Solskjaer was a great player for 11 years for Man United. And he's got that proven pedigree as a player. But I think as a manager, he's totally comparison to how he was as a player, basically. So I think disregarding him being a club legend, I've got to say, I think, Solskjaer would have been sacked by now. If it had been any other manager, I think, they would have been sacked. But we are determined to back him in this January transfer window. We're also determined to back him in the summer to see who we can recommend in to the football club. And it's been revealed how much it will cost Man United if we do decide to sack him. We'll have to pay around £5 million in compensation. So it costs us like 15 million less than what we paid to get rid of Mourinho, because we paid 20 million to get rid of Mourinho. We paid around £9 million to get rid of Van Gaal. I think around 5 or 6 million to get rid of David Moyes. And Solskjaer's got around 2.5 years left on his deal with Man United. Because when he got the job in March last year, he signed a 3-year contract with the club worth around £7.5 million a year. So we need to get Pochettino in, like I said. He did say that Pochettino's indicated his next managerial job. And he said it will either be in England or Spain, so he could actually remain in England. But Pochettino did say, following his sacking from Tottenham last year, he said he wanted an immediate return to management. But we've been long admirers of him. He did say we've held secret talks with Pochettino the other week over replacing Solskjaer. He did say Pochettino doesn't want Ed Woodward as our director of football if he is to come into the football club. He'd want a director of football. He'd probably not want Paul Mitchell more than likely, because obviously, he knows Paul Mitchell well. Paul Mitchell was the head of recruitment at Tottenham and Southampton, where he'd worked alongside Pochettino. And I think he's currently now the head of recruitment at RP Leipzig, is he now? He's Paul Mitchell. So, yeah. And I said Man United needed to get a director of footballing, because that's one of the structural changes that we do need. Quite frankly, he's not reliable enough. Is Ed Woodward to oversee our transfer business. But I think the comparison between Poch and Solskjaer is that Pochettino's a better manager. He hasn't won out in terms of silverware. That's my only element of concern. And he's good at developing young players. His philosophy is very, very good, and he's well proven in the Premier League. And he enjoyed a good 5.5 years with Tottenham, got them to their first ever Champions League final last season. He also had a good short tenure with Southampton. Before that, he was at Espanyol. So in total, at the moment, Pochettino's managed 3 clubs. 2 of those clubs have been Premier League clubs, and he's been managing since like 2009. He was recently linked with a managerial role at Barcelona, because they sat Ernesto Valverde, but I think they appointed the former Real Betis manager in. There was speculation about him going to Bayern Munich. There was talks about him going to Real Madrid. But, I think Man United needs to get Pochettino in. And I understand that, Man United have not really got the structure to keep sacking managers, because, we've already sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. We've obviously got rid of Moyes, we've got rid of Van Gaal, and we got rid of Jose Mourinho. So sacking managers persistently, always isn't the right solution, to be quite honest with you. But like I've said, not all of the blame does stem from Solskjaer. But, I just don't think we'll ever be the team that was under Ferguson, whether it's Solskjaer as our manager or someone else. They won't invoke Ferguson's legacy at the football club. It will not happen, because under Ferguson, we was fantastic. I know he didn't win out in his first 4 years, but look what he went and accomplished after 4 years. After he didn't win out in his first 4 years, won 13 Premier Leagues in 21 years. Won the vast majority of our silverware under Ferguson. He controlled the transfer policies. He controlled the contracts. He was good at developing a lot of young players. We was fantastic under Ferguson. And we had a lot of great players under Ferguson, long-serving players. Carrick was a great player for us. He served 12 years at Man United. Wayne Rooney served 13 years at Man United. He scored 253 goals, our all-time leading goal scorer. We had Ryan Giggs for around 24 years. We had a great centre-back partnership in Vidic and Ferdinand. We had Paul Scholes. So we had a lot of good players under the Alex Ferguson era. And I did say, didn't I, I'm hopeful now that this team at this day and age can replicate what the team did under Ferguson. But obviously, where they are not going to do that. And, we have got a pretty decent squad. We have got some good players. But the only problem is we do not play as a unit. We don't play as a team. And this is why, we're not being consistent enough. And this is the reason. And obviously, I said it's not always about overpaying for players. And I think, for Solskjaer to be given another season at Manchester United, because this is his first full season now, I think, we've got to get top 4 by the end of the season. We've got to have some silverware on the board, because Solskjaer knows the importance of us getting silverware on the board. And I think that's the only chance he'll get another season at the club. But there's a lot of United fans now feel as though that we won't get that top 4. We are 5 points behind top 4, so we are still in that top 4 race. The only main explanation why we're still in that top 4 race is because Chelsea have been in a bad run of form. They lost to Newcastle at the weekend. I think, quite a few teams dropped points, so we failed to capitalise, But we are still in that top 4 race, and I said at the start of this season, our expectations will be to finish in that top 4. I think in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations will be that top 4 anywhere, because we're not going to win the league for several years. We're not even going to mount any kind of title challenge up for several years. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, and that's 7 years ago. So the last time we won it, it came in Ferguson's last season. Solskjaer believes it's not going to take Man United another 30 years to win another Premier League title, like he has done with Liverpool. Solskjaer were coming out, and he's come out, and I think Graham Souness has agreed with him on that aspect, saying that Liverpool are not the greatest team until they win back-to-back titles and stuff. So this is what Solsjkaer said. He's praised of how good Liverpool have been because they're breaking records and that, and they're the only team to be undefeated in the Premier League this season. He also said that Liverpool are yet to match Sir Alex Ferguson's side. This is what he said prior to the game. So what it means in that aspect is that Liverpool's team at the moment is not on the level as what our team was under Alex Ferguson. So this is what he's basically saying, he's Solskjaer. But, I was very, very disappointed with the result yesterday, by the way, losing 2-0 at Anfield. It was expected to happen. Liverpool dominated the vast majority of the game. They created chances. There was a lot of good individual performances. Liverpool should have been out of sight at half-time, should have been 3-4-0. The goals obviously came for Virgil van Dijk in the first half. Salah scored the second I think, right at the end of the game. Salah had scored the second goal. I think we had some odd periods here and there where we did okay in that, but just wasn't a good enough performance by Man United. And we know that Liverpool are strides ahead of us at the moment. They're on another level to us. And, they've got a better team than us. They've got a better coach than us through Jurgen Klopp. And it's going to take us several years to emulate to Liverpool's level. Now, some people start to believe that Liverpool now could start to replicate from now what we did in the 90s and the 2000s under Ferguson. So maybe, Liverpool can start to replicate that. Liverpool are the best team in England, probably the best team in the world at the moment. Jurgen Klopp's got 3 major honours. Jurgen Klopp's got 3 major honours. Liverpool are going to be winning the Premier League this season, so that's going to be his 4th major honour. They won the Champions League last season, so they're the champions of Europe, Liverpool. They've won the Champions League 6 times. But they're just totally bossed there, that game yesterday did Liverpool. And, they're going to win the league. 16 points in front of City, 19 points in front of Leicester with a game in hand. Unbeaten in 39 Premier League games. Unbeaten in 52 league games at Anfield, and they are just unstoppable, basically. I thought there was some good individual performances from Man United yesterday. Matic did okay defensively. Fred did okay defensively. Didn't show much in terms of attacking intent. Williams wasn't so bad. Fred had a decent shot. Martial missed a sitter. Pereira missed a sitter towards the back end of the first half. Pereira wasn't too bad. Just some of his decision making were wrong. Martial and Daniel James couldn't get enough service. Lindelof did well defensively at the back. Bazaka made some vital challenges. Mane, could have scored for Liverpool because he had a chance. De Gea saved from the keeper. Saved from David De Gea. Firmino had a few chances. Liverpool had 2 disallowed goals through Firmino and Jorginho Wijnaldum. So take that into account. So could have actually been more than 2-0 yesterday. Now I think if I'm right, that's our 7th defeat in the Premier League this season, and obviously we've got to get back to winning ways against Burnley. And obviously we know that Rashford's out for up to 6 weeks, like I've said to you guys. But yeah. And yeah, so that's really everything to update you. So that's the news regarding Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Jude Bellingham. I'm Raul Jimenez. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes, on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. Take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.